Well, tonight there's a divide within Burlington's LGBTQ community. A group run by a lesbian woman is being called out for transphobia.
Now, the group called Gender Critical Vermont had plans to meet at a library tonight, but canceled after a protest. Channel 3's Aaron Brown spoke with the group's organizer and a member of the trans community. Aaron, can you explain the conflict?
Well, Selena Galen, the leader of the group Gender Critical, says she supports transgender rights and protections, but ultimately she does not think transgender women are women. She feels the transgender movement undermines the women's rights and lesbian liberation movement, but some people in the transgender community say that alone is hateful.
Biology is transphobic. Well, I'm sorry, you're not going to win that argument.
How can you take the hate that makes you feel bad about yourself and turn it on a member of your own community? Just boggles my mind.
A new organization is driving a wedge between Burlington's LGBTQ community. Peggy Lors, a lesbian and a feminist, says the transgender equality movement is infringing on the women's rights movement.
There are people within this community who are not happy with the overreach. And we're immediately told, well, you're trying to erase our existence. No, I can't erase your existence. You exist. If you need me to say you exist, well, that's an internal problem of yours.
Laura says she's worried about the future of Title IX and other protections for women if they open up to transgender women. She says she ultimately does not believe they're women.
And I don't buy that you can change your sex. I think, but you can. But you can believe that, and I certainly don't have any problems about how people want to dress.
People in the LGBTQ community are shutting down those thoughts.
It's just disgusting. That might be harsh. I don't really care. It's harsh. They're disgusting. I don't want it in my community.
Emily Kippers is transgender and non-binary. They say feminism that excludes trans women is not feminism and only further threatens their lives.
The life expectancy for trans women of color in our country today is 35 years old. That's appalling.
Lors considers herself a transgender ally and says she supports their rights. But she thinks it's time to talk about what she calls an overreach of activism and a censure of free speech.
I don't want to put out any hate speech about anybody, but I do want to say you can't compel my speech. You can't compel me. You can stand up for your rights, and you can believe whatever you want. You can believe things that I don't believe. And you have every right. What you don't have a right to do is either compel or deny my speech.
The main question on the table is it free speech or hate?
I think there's a big difference between free speech and violent speech. I think free speech, anyone is open to have an opinion, but it's a completely different issue when your opinion puts the lives of other people at risk.
Now, we also spoke to Mayor Murrah Weinberger about this. He says Burlington is an inclusive community and said he was glad to hear the gender critical meeting was canceled. He also said Burlington will continue to uphold the First Amendment while also protecting its citizens from hate.
Going forward, the city will always do what we're required to do to defend First Amendment rights, while at the same time seeking to signal that this is not a community for hate speech. This is a community where acts of hate crimes will certainly be prosecuted to the fullest extent of our ability. And those are really the points I made earlier.
Lors says a few dozen people have shown interest in joining Gender Critical, and they have plans to become an official organization sometime this year.